Emily and Michael had always been the couple everyone envied. They lived in a beautiful suburban home with a sprawling garden, symbolizing the life they had built together. Emily, a schoolteacher with a warm smile and an even warmer heart, had always dreamed of starting a family. Michael, a successful architect, had shared her dream. They believed they were destined for a lifetime of happiness. The news of Emily's pregnancy had been met with joy and excitement. After years of trying, they were finally going to be parents. But when the ultrasound revealed she was carrying triplets, their joy doubled, though a tinge of nervousness crept in as they prepared for the challenge of raising 3 children at once. Michael became more attentive, building cribs and decorating the nursery with his meticulous eye for detail. Emily marveled at how supportive he was, doting on her every need. She felt lucky to have such a perfect partner by her side. Finally, the big day arrived. Emily was wheeled into the delivery room, clutching Michael's hand as waves of pain coursed through her. Despite the exhaustion, she smiled at him, drawing strength from his presence. The delivery was long and arduous, but the cries of 3 healthy babies filled the room. Emily sighed in relief as the doctors announced the birth of 2 boys and a girl. She reached out to hold her firstborn, but the expression on Michael's face froze her heart. His gaze, once filled with love and pride, now burned with confusion and anger. He stared at the babies, each with dark, curly hair and rich brown skin. Emily barely had time to process the look of betrayal on his face before he stormed out of the room without a word. Emily's heart dropped. She called after him, but he didn't return. The medical staff tried to reassure her, focusing on the newborns, but her mind was elsewhere. She wondered what had gone wrong. Later that evening, when Michael finally returned, his demeanor had shifted entirely. Without meeting her eyes, he informed her that he couldn't stay in the marriage. His words came like daggers. "These kids aren't mine," he spat, throwing a stack of bags onto the hospital floor. "You've betrayed me, Emily. I can't believe you'd try to pass someone else's children off as mine." Emily was too stunned to respond, tears welling in her eyes. She tried to protest, but Michael refused to listen. His anger filled the small hospital room like a storm. He accused her of infidelity and made it clear she and the babies were no longer welcome in his life. He left her with nothing but confusion, pain, and a mountain of questions. The days following Michael's departure were a blur. Emily's mother, Linda, rushed to her side as soon as she learned what had happened. Linda was a strong woman, one who had weathered her share of life's storms, and she didn't hesitate to step up for her daughter. "Whatever it takes, we'll get through this," Linda said firmly, cradling one of the crying infants while Emily sat dazed in her hospital bed. Emily moved in with Linda after being discharged. Michael had not only taken her home but also drained their joint bank account. Leaving her financially stranded, Linda took charge of the situation, ensuring Emily and the triplets had a safe place to stay. She helped Emily create a routine, taking care of the babies when Emily was too overwhelmed to manage. Despite Linda's support, Emily struggled to process what had happened. Michael's accusations haunted her. She knew she hadn't been unfaithful, but the questions lingered. How could their children, her children, have dark skin when both she and Michael were white? Her life had fallen apart in a matter of days. Once surrounded by love and security, she now faced a grim reality as a single mother to 3 newborns. Emily was determined to rise above her circumstances. After weeks of recovery, she began searching for a job to support her children. Linda continued to be her rock, caring for the triplets while Emily focused on rebuilding her life. She eventually found a position as an administrative assistant at a small firm. The pay wasn't much, but it was a start. Emily worked tirelessly, balancing her job with the demands of motherhood. Her days were long, but every smile from her children reminded her why she couldn't give up. Meanwhile, Michael was nowhere to be found. Emily filed a police report regarding the stolen money. But with Michael having fled the state, recovering it seemed impossible. She knew she couldn't rely on him anymore. As the months passed, Emily started to feel a semblance of stability. She bonded deeply with her children, and her connection to them became her anchor. Linda continued to help, her unwavering love giving Emily the strength to keep moving forward. But peace wouldn't last for long. When the triplets turned 5, Emily began receiving disturbing letters. The first note arrived by mail. Its message chilling. "You thought you could escape, but I'll make sure you pay for what you've done." Emily immediately suspected Michael, but she couldn't prove it. She reported the incident to the police, who assured her they'd investigate. Weeks later, another letter arrived, this time left on her doorstep. Then another, slipped under her pillow while she was at work. Each note was more threatening than the last. Emily's fear grew. She changed the locks on the house and installed security cameras. But the letters kept coming. She realized she wasn't just being harassed, her safety, and the safety of her children, was at risk. Despite the fear, Emily refused to crumble. She decided to move her family to a different city, sacrificing the life she'd worked so hard to rebuild. It was a painful decision, but she knew she had to protect her children at all costs. The decision to move to a new city was not easy for Emily. The triplets, now 5 years old, had grown attached to their school, friends, and routine. Linda, always the pillar of strength, assured Emily it was the right choice. "I know it's hard, honey, but your safety comes first," Linda said as she helped pack up their belongings. "We'll start over, just like we did before." Emily found a small but cozy house in a quiet neighborhood of a distant city. The move was grueling, but Emily felt a glimmer of hope as she watched her children settle into their new surroundings. She enrolled them in a nearby school and began looking for work. The new environment brought a sense of peace. Emily secured a job as an office manager at a local company, and her boss was understanding of her need to balance work and motherhood. Linda continued to support Emily by caring for the children during the day, giving Emily the space to focus on providing for her family. The triplets adapted quickly to their new school, making friends and bringing home stories of their adventures. For the first time in years, Emily began to feel as though her life was moving in the right direction. But the scars of the past lingered. Every unexpected knock at the door or unfamiliar face on the street filled her with dread. She hadn't heard from Michael since the last terrifying note, but she knew better than to believe he was truly gone. Emily's newfound peace was shattered one afternoon when she arrived home to find a note taped to her front door. Her hands trembled as she ripped it open. The message was short but sent a shiver down her spine. "No matter where you go, I'll find you." Panic set in. Emily called the police, but as before, they had little to go on. The note contained no fingerprints or identifying marks. The officers assured her they would keep an eye on her home. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The next day, her fears deepened when her son, Liam, handed her a crumpled piece of paper he had found in his backpack. The note was the same handwriting, the same tone of malice. "Your mother's lies won't save her." Emily's knees buckled. She clutched the note and immediately called the police again. This time, they increased patrols in the neighborhood and set up surveillance outside her home. But Emily knew she couldn't wait for them to act. She began taking precautions of her own, installing additional locks, reinforcing the windows, and keeping her children close at all times. As days turned into weeks, Emily worked tirelessly to protect her family. She attended self-defense classes and enrolled the triplets in martial arts, determined to teach them how to defend themselves if necessary. Linda, ever practical, suggested they prepare an emergency plan. "If anything happens," Linda said one evening as they huddled around the kitchen table, "we need to know what to do. Emily, you take the kids and run. I'll handle anyone who tries to get in." Emily nodded, though the thought of leaving her mother behind made her heart ache. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." Despite their precautions, Emily couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. One night, as she was locking up, she spotted a figure standing across the street. Her heart raced as she stared out the window. But the figure disappeared before she could call the police. She knew it had to be Michael. He was out there, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Emily's suspicions were confirmed a week later when Michael showed up at her doorstep unannounced. He looked disheveled, his once polished appearance replaced by an air of desperation. Emily froze as he begged to be let inside. "Emily, please," he said, his voice cracking. "I just want to talk." Emily didn't move. "What do you want, Michael? Haven't you done enough?" Michael's eyes darted to the triplets, who peeked out from behind Linda. "I've made mistakes, but I want to fix things. I'm ready to be a father to them." Emily's anger boiled over. "You think you can walk back into our lives after everything you've done? After the threats, the notes, the lies?" Michael hung his head. "I was wrong, Emily. I see that now, but I need to tell you the truth." He revealed the secret he had kept buried for years. His mother had confessed that their family had African ancestry. Michael's dark features, which he had never questioned, were a result of that lineage. The triplets' skin color was a natural inheritance, not evidence of an affair. Emily was speechless. The revelation filled her with a mix of relief and rage. Relief that her innocence was finally clear, and rage that Michael had known all along and still chose to destroy her life. Michael begged for forgiveness, but Emily stood firm. "You don't deserve forgiveness, Michael. You abandoned me when I needed you the most. You stole from me, harassed me, and terrorized our children. Nothing you say can undo that." He fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. But Emily turned away. She called the police, informing them of Michael's location. When the officers arrived, she handed over the threatening notes and shared everything he had done. Michael was arrested, and for the first time in years, Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Justice had finally caught up with him. With Michael out of the picture, Emily focused on her future. She threw a small celebration for the triplets' 6th birthday, filling their home with laughter and joy. Surrounded by the love of her children and the unwavering support of Linda, she knew she had everything she needed. Emily decided to share Michael's story with the triplets when they were older. But for now, she chose to cherish the simple moments of happiness they brought her every day. Her journey had been fraught with pain and challenges, but she emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to provide a loving home for her family. The future was hers to shape, and she was ready to embrace it with open arms. With Michael behind bars, Emily's life entered a period of calm for the first time in years. She focused on giving the triplets the life they deserved, pouring her energy into her job and creating a stable, loving environment for her children. The trauma of the past lingered, but Emily refused to let it define their future. Her workplace became a second family. Emily's dedication and organizational skills didn't go unnoticed, and her boss, aware of her struggles as a single mother, supported her efforts to climb the career ladder. She began taking on more responsibilities, and within a year, she was promoted to a supervisory role. Linda continued to play an integral part in their lives, caring for the triplets when Emily worked long hours. The children adored their grandmother, who filled their days with stories, games, and lessons about resilience. Emily also started attending a local support group for single mothers. Sharing her story and hearing others' experiences helped her heal. She formed deep friendships with women who understood her struggles, and together they built a network of mutual support. One afternoon, as Emily picked up the triplets from school, she was approached by a man named Daniel, a teacher at the school who had taken a special interest in her children. He complimented their manners and intelligence, expressing admiration for how well Emily was raising them. Over time, Daniel became a friend. He offered to help with school projects and even attended a few family outings with Emily and the kids. His kindness was a breath of fresh air, and Emily found herself smiling more often when he was around. Daniel's presence brought a sense of stability Emily hadn't realized she was missing. He treated the triplets like his own, encouraging their passions and teaching them new skills. But despite his evident affection, Emily hesitated to let her guard down. "Take your time," Linda advised one evening as they talked over tea. "You've been through so much. If Daniel is truly genuine, he'll understand." Emily nodded, knowing her mother was right. Trust was something she had to rebuild slowly. A year after Michael's arrest, Emily received a letter from his lawyer. Michael had requested a meeting, claiming he wanted to apologize and make amends. Emily was torn. Part of her wanted to confront him and demand answers, but another part feared reopening old wounds. After much deliberation, she decided to meet him, not for his sake, but for her own closure. Linda agreed to accompany her for support. The meeting took place in a small room at the prison. Michael looked gaunt, his once sharp features softened by time and regret. As soon as Emily entered, he began to speak, his voice heavy with remorse. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he said, avoiding her gaze. "I just want you to know I've thought about what I did every single day. I was a coward. I let my own insecurities ruin everything." Emily listened silently, her heart a mixture of anger and pity. When he finished, she took a deep breath and said, "I've moved on, Michael. I've built a life for my children. Despite everything you did, I'm here today to tell you that you have no power over me anymore." With those words, Emily stood and left the room, feeling a sense of liberation she hadn't expected. Emily's meeting with Michael marked a turning point. She felt lighter, as though she had finally put the past behind her. She threw herself into her work and home life, finding joy in the small moments, baking cookies with the triplets, cheering them on at their school events, and laughing at their endless questions about the world. Daniel continued to be a steady presence in their lives. And over time, Emily began to open her heart to him. He never pushed her for more than she was ready to give. And his patience paid off. One evening, as they watched the triplets play in the backyard, Emily turned to him and said, "Thank you for being here. I didn't think I'd ever trust anyone again." Daniel smiled. "You don't have to thank me, Emily. Being with you and the kids is the greatest privilege of my life." The years passed, and Emily's life flourished. The triplets excelled in school, each developing their unique personalities. Liam, the eldest, had a natural talent for music. Noah, the middle child, loved science and spent hours conducting experiments in the kitchen. Olivia, the youngest, was a budding artist, filling their home with colorful drawings. Emily celebrated every milestone, from their first day of middle school to their first soccer goals. She documented their achievements in scrapbooks, creating memories they could cherish forever. Her career also soared. After years of hard work, Emily was offered a position as a regional manager, a role that came with a significant salary increase. The financial stability allowed her to provide the triplets with opportunities she had once only dreamed of. When the triplets turned 10, Emily decided to throw them a grand birthday party. It was a celebration not just of their growth, but of everything they had overcome as a family. Friends, neighbors, and even Daniel helped organize the event, turning their backyard into a wonderland of games, food, and laughter. As Emily watched her children blow out the candles on their cake, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. Life had been anything but easy, but it had also been filled with love, resilience, and hope. Linda stood beside her, squeezing her hand. "You've done an amazing job, Emily. I'm so proud of you." Emily smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. Thank you for always being there." As the party wound down, Emily reflected on how far they had come. The shadows of the past no longer loomed over her. Michael was a distant memory, and the love and support of her family and friends had filled the void he left behind. Emily knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them. She had built a life filled with love, strength, and joy, a life that her children could be proud of. As she tucked the triplets into bed that night, she whispered, "No matter what, I'll always be here for you. We're stronger together." And with that, Emily closed the door on their past and embraced the bright, limitless future ahead.